Good afternoon. My name is Aretha Franklin. I am the Program and Services Coordinator for United Way Real Sense. And today I'm here to present to you the topic managing money in tough times. I'm sure that you all will agree that we are facing some of the toughest times of our lives this year, 2020, because of COVID and the unrest that we've experienced in our nation. So I'd like to ask you if you are looking for help in these tough times. Right now, we have one of the biggest general economic downturns. People have been furloughed, if not released from their employment, trying to achieve unemployment benefits. There's been so many things that have caused us just major change and challenges in our lives. So let's see if we can work together to bring a little bit of uh, a better picture for everyone in these tough times. So if you're underemployed, perhaps that has become your situation where you were working full time, now you're part time, and even fewer hours than what would be considered um, part time. Maybe you've suffered illness, whether it was because of COVID or just other stress related illnesses. What about income not increasing with the cost of living? Well, that can happen whether there's an economic downturn or not. And so, just looking for ways to manage your money and still be able to make the living that you sought out. Also, recovering from debt that occurred when bad things happen. So you must ultimately decide that you want to be financially fit and work toward it. And we're hoping to provide you with different tools that will help you to do that. So, what is financial fitness? Um, it is the working knowledge of what your needs versus your wants are and how to manage any risk. It is knowing what your resources are and building those resources through saving, and then knowing your economic environment and managing your cash versus credit and both. Just know that your needs and your wants does not necessarily are not categorized by having a strong desire for something. That doesn't necessarily mean that thing is a need, but also trying to meet your need, but extending beyond your means is something called extravagance. And in this season of life, can we really afford to live at that level? With regard to your savings, you may be among those who would say something like, I can't afford to save. And that might appear to be true, but putting aside even just $10 per week can help you to build a savings of at least $520 by the end of the year. And I don't know about you, but that could cover a bill or even provide some cushion that I might be able to do other things with at the time. So consider even just putting $10 a week aside. If you can do more, the more you can save, the better off you'll be when an emergency comes, when those times come that you want to celebrate or travel. You've got a little bit of help that you provided to yourself. So, what will we cover today? We'll talk about the importance of managing money, whether in tough times or not. We'll look at steps to build spending and to build a spending and saving plan. We'll talk about techniques and tools. I'll show you a little bit about using a calendar to track your expenses. We'll try and look at spending leaks, gaps, and habits. All right. So, why plan your spending and saving? Simply to reduce the stress of having to ask yourself over and over, can I really pay my bills? And can I pay them on time? Paying them late will also add to the stress because now you've got to come up with additional money to cover late fees or interest and penalties because it wasn't paid on time. Am I living within my income, which you might have heard other people say living within my means? And am I doing so to help avoid debt? Am I keeping good records of when my bills are due and when I am paying them, so that there's no discrepancy, and so that keeping those good records keeps me in time, in a timely manner, making sure that they are paid. What about measuring progress towards your goals? Without a goal, it's like taking a journey on a road without a map, without having set the goals for what you want to do with your finances, for where you hope to be this time next year, or 3 years, or 5 years from now. It is like taking a long journey without a map. And without a map to help you plan the route, taking that journey is like, I don't know, any road will get you there, because you really don't know where you're going. You don't know that the route you're taking is the right one. So work toward measuring your progress towards your goals, and then make sure that you set a good example, whether it's your children, your younger siblings, even older adults who see that you're doing it right. Maybe you're setting a great example for them, and you can help to lead by example to get people out of poverty as well, or out of a debt situation. All right. So we want to look a little bit at values, needs, and wants. And those are three categories that we really often don't define and should. And so values, that is simply what is important to you. I'm sure family and, you know, shelter and food and clothing, those are important. And they are also what's considered a need, those things that you cannot do without. But the wants, those are everything else. Maybe, surely I need to have shoes on my feet, but do I need to pay $250 for one pair of shoes? I need to have a roof overhead, uh, but can I afford the roof if it's $1,200 a month and I'm only bringing in 1,500? So, those are the things to consider, and make sure you understand what the need versus the want is. So, of course, again, needs are shelter, food, clothing, transportation, and healthcare. And some of your decisions could be influenced by an individual situation, where you actually live, and some cultural expectations. We're in the week of Thanksgiving, and although COVID has put a major halt on many of our plans, for those of us who have family at home, we do want to prepare that meal where we could come around the table and express our gratitude. But if we suffered through COVID not having the finances to prepare the meal, there's going to be some changes. And so those cultural expectations in this year might not be met. Hopefully, that won't bring about an emotional problem or issue for those of you who have those goals set. We want to look a little bit at something called your money habitude. What are your habits and your attitudes as it relates to money? These are your habits and attitudes related to your spending and saving decisions. Are you spontaneous, meaning money encourages you to enjoy the moment? Are you free spirited? That means money isn't a priority. You just let life happen. And in those instances, you usually rely on someone else to kind of pick up your slack. Status. Do you have to present a positive image? Are you keeping up with the Joneses? Are you living beyond your means? Are you selfless? You just give money because money helps make you feel good by giving to others. Um, do you prefer security? Money helps you feel safe, secure, and in control. What about a targeted goal? Does money help you achieve those goals? That's what money really is. It's a tool to help you achieve the goals. But again, as I mentioned earlier, without a goal, you're just reaching, you're moving without any direction. So think it over. What is your style? How can knowing what your money habitudes, remember habits and attitudes, are, and how can they help you with your budgeting, saving, investing, and or managing debt? How can your habitude conflict with other family members? And do you want to make changes? Strategies are available to help you achieve balance. I also want to ask you to consider, what is your style? Was it modeled before you from someone else, an older generational family member? And because you saw it that way then, do you do it that way now? Are you the person that everyone comes to for help? That's in response to the question, how can your habitude conflict with other family members? Um, you have that one or two family member who will not plan, who will not save, but they will come to you to save the day for them. And then you have to answer this question. If you want to make changes, what would happen if those people came to you yet again and you said no? You're not able to? Are you no longer the favorite auntie? Are you the one that's mean and they can't count on anymore, so they don't talk to you? Thank God for a night of peace, right? No, I'm just being a little facetious, but what would happen if you said no? And would that put an emotional strain on you yourself because you were not in a position of helping them? Just some things to think about as it relates to how you see and deal with your money issues. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about a tip and a tool or a trick of the trade that might be able to help you as it relates to your spending decisions. And it's called the spending decision card. And it's just this small sheet of paper that'll fit in your wallet, right behind your credit card, right in front of your debit card, whatever it takes. And it's, a different color than anything else I carry in my wallet. So when I see that and I'm at the grocery store, I'm at Walmart, that's my favorite place. I often will look over these questions to make sure that what I'm about to put in my buggy is something that is uh, warranted or needed at the time. And so you can see the questions uh, here on the screen. Will this purchase meet one of my goals? Do I really want and or need it? Can I afford it? Sometimes we see the sale and I don't know, these bells go off in our hearts and in our heads, but our wallet is screaming, no, we can't handle it. But sometimes we get it anyway. So these are just a few tips and tools, even from the experts. And you may be familiar with some of those experts. But the question is, it doesn't matter who you know, it's what you're doing with the information that they're providing. So are you using these simple tools? So another way to help you through these tough times is to ask you to track your current spending behavior. Do you list your bills monthly and the amounts that not only you owe, but the ones that you're paying? Many people have credit cards and they don't pay the full balances right away. So additionally, they'll end up paying interest charges further down as long as they carry that particular balance. So you want to make sure that you're aware of the amounts that you're expected to pay and the patterns that you're using as it relates to paying them. So keep track of your expenses for at least 1 month to see where your money is going. And with that, I just want to show you an additional tool that we use, and this has worked well for me. You can't really see it. Maybe you can see some of my handwriting, but it's just a blank sheet of paper that's folded to provide me with 8 squares. And of course, we have 7 days of the week. So you want to label them. I always start my week on Monday through Sunday. And the extra box here is simply so that I can list any additional income. Maybe someone paid me the loan that they borrowed, even if they paid a portion, at least I know where the money came from. And then I'm a stickler for when I go grocery shopping. I try not to go without a list. So I jot those items down here. So again, this is small enough to fit in my pocket and my wallet. And it's always handy when I'm in the store. But the 8 boxes, you want to write down every item that you spend money on, even if it was a 20-cent piece of gum at a machine on the way out of the restaurant, or if you gave a tip at the restaurant, maybe you had to get gas and you thought it was only going to be, I don't know, $15 and it turned out to be 22, but you want to know that you have the difference recorded somewhere. And at the end of the week, you can actually see exactly how much money you spent. You do this 4 times, so that's 2 sheets of paper, both on both sides, and you can see where your money goes, at least for that particular week or month. And then you can actually adjust for future budgeting. All right. And that's just another example of a spending diary, keeping a folded sheet of paper with you. As I explained earlier, you can also keep all of your receipts to make sure that you have tracked that money that you spend exactly as you've written it down. Decide on the category for each of those expenses, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Write those amounts in, whether they are flexible, fixed, or occasional expense charts. And you want to make sure you do it on a daily until you're in the habit. And then you can kind of schedule maybe a Thursday night if your favorite show isn't on, or on a Saturday afternoon just before you go out to celebrate the weekend. But just make sure that it becomes a part of your routine to actually track these expenses. So again, I mentioned putting your expenses in a category. Again, you have fixed. Those are the ones that do not change from month to month. That's your rent. That's your car note. That is the car insurance, and other items similar to that. Flexible are the ones that you may have some control over. So that could be your electric or gas bill, pardon me, your water, and other flexible expenses that you'll have control over. Many people say that their cell phone bill now in this day and age should be a fixed expense because that amount does not normally change. Maybe if you go over on your usage and you have to add additional fees to cover for the remainder of the month, but on the average, it usually remains the same. Periodic or occasional expenses such as birthdays, holidays, subscriptions, etc. You want to make sure to track those, because if you have an automatic clearinghouse ACH debit from your account, it should not take you by surprise, nor should it overdraw your account. So you want to make sure that if you write it down, you'll remember it. I have a quote that I heard years ago that I like to recite, and it's, I'd rather trust a short pencil than my long-term memory any day. If I take the time to write down an item, I'm subject to remember it more so than trying to remember it without having written it down. So, what are SMART goals? I'm sure we've all heard this at some point in time over the course of the years, that setting SMART goals is simply something that's specific, it's measurable, you can adapt it, uh, and it's realistic and time bound. So, have you ever set a SMART goal? And are you interested or even excited about setting a SMART goal as it relates to your spending? This chart is just an example. In each example, a person is replacing their washer. The amount that their goal is to meet is it costing either 600, 300, or another 600. They plan to start saving the money over the course of 3 or 6 months, starting in January and either ending in March or June. And how much will they put aside per month? 200 if they're buying it in 3 months, 100 if they're buying the $300 washer in 3 months, or $100 a month for 6 months until they're able to purchase that last $600 uh, washer. So that may mean, adjusting some of the spending that they're doing over the course of that time. It may mean just being mindful, instead of, splurging on a night of bowling, another night of movies, etc., that, maybe in home movie watching and popping popcorn at the television, to watch movie at home. At any rate, they've got a plan. They know the amount that they need to save and they're working toward it. Why? Because having a washer beats the heck out of dragging clothes to a laundromat. Take it from me. I've done it a few times too many. So it really is your choice. Don't forget to have enough money set aside for an emergency. That can be 3 to 6 months. Even some of the experts now are saying maybe even a year, given the situation we're in now. Set up automatic withdrawal from your paycheck to an account of your choice, or many employers now will allow you to direct deposit your pay and split it to at least two accounts. So the bulk of your monies go into your checking account that you run your household budget from, and the balance can go into a savings account. So if it remains untouched, you're actually accumulating interest over the time, as long as that. It's just, the wealthy are not the people who have the most how to save more and to live off even just the interest from those accounts. So something to consider when we're looking at making those changes. How about identifying your income? You have to ask yourself, where does the money come from? Salary or wages? Are you getting benefits? Is it tips and commissions? Are you in this gig economy? If you're a Lyft or Uber driver, if you are marketing plans that sell one plan, and the person who bought the plan keeps it over a period of time, each time, like a auto insurance premium or life insurance premium, each time the customer pays for it, you receive commission when they initially buy it. But when they keep it over a period of time and continue to pay, you can also receive what's called residual income. So where's your money coming from? Are you aware? Are you familiar with it? Do you know that you've lent out to a family member $2,200 and they've paid you, but they only paid you $1,200? And then where's the money coming from? How do you attribute and account for your income? So what if you don't know how much it will be? Now, this is for anyone who may be job searching right now. How can you plan a budget if you don't know how much you're going to earn? Plan with what you know. There are tools on the internet that will allow you to see the average income or salary for specific jobs. So maybe use that as a tool to help you get started and work your way out from there. And then as you start receiving the income, you can make the adjustments to what your budget is. Now, if that pay varies, use the average or even the lowest amount, because if you're going on the lowest amount, you're subject not to overspend. Okay? So write down the plan. Again, understanding what your fixed expenses are: rent or mortgage, utilities, and any debts that you might owe. Flexible expenses are food, personal care, and clothes. And then add the amounts for those totals. Identify the yearly totals of any occasional expenses, and then divide that by 12 to get your monthly amount to save each month in your put and pull account. Now, that put and pull simply means I don't anticipate that it's going to sit forever. I'm going to use it at specific times. So, like the occasions, Thanksgiving, birthdays, the Christmas or winter holidays, however you may gift and give, just make sure that you have it available and that it does not take away from your daily living expenses. All right. So when you're doing that, you have to ask yourself at the end, are you positive or negative? When you're planning a budget, this is the goal: that your income minus your expenses equals zero. However, if that number is a positive number, decide how you will spend or save the extra so that it doesn't just disappear. And then if it's negative, make the hard choice now so that you can avoid a long-term debt. As it relates to the positive and the money disappearing, let me ask you this question, and you can answer it truthfully for yourself. Say you got paid today and you go out tonight and you break a 20. So you fold up the $10 bill and you leave it in your jeans. And 3 weeks from now, you've washed the jeans and you're ready to wear them again. And you place your hand in the pocket where that $10 bill is folded. Do you stop and think, where did that $10 come from? Probably not. Do you think maybe I should save it? Most often we don't. Instead, we find that as a blessing. Look what the Lord has done, or oh my goodness, I'm so lucky I found money, and we find an additional way to spend it. So just make sure that you have a plan, even for that money that you find. Even if you choose to spend any portion of it, don't spend it all. Put some of it away. So while you may be thinking, this is how it is now, that income minus expenses equals zero, our goal here is when you reach this point of income minus expenses equals zero, you can change the direction of where the money went. That means you're looking more closely at whether it was planned to go out in this direction or in this, to come out to this outcome, or did you frivolously spend it and now you're wishing you had more? So there's a way that you can use this actual equation to work towards your favor. All right, so our next one, we talk about increasing income. Maybe there are members of your household, teenagers, 14 to 17. Someone, for one reason or another, may not be employed right now, but they are good with their hands. Maybe they can. I saw a social media video where a father decided to make a desk for his son to be comfortable in doing his homeschooling, and word got around and it became a money-making activity for him because so many people wanted it. He had quality, and it was something that their children could use, and it turned into an income-making activity for him. So think about those things. Volunteer to work overtime if overtime is something that's offered on your job. Prove your worth and get a raise. Of course, you're not going to get a raise the day after every payday, but over the course of 6 months to a year, if you continue to show yourself faithful and show your worth on the job, a raise could definitely be in order, but you have to be willing to do what's necessary um, as it relates to the job to earn that raise. Find a better job or even a second one. If you are a loner, and by that I simply mean maybe all of the children have grown and gone, and now you're in this home alone, perhaps consider a roommate or a housemate. Right now, I'm not saying do that, especially in this time of COVID, but further down the line, or if the need presents itself and you're simply at the point where you must have that additional money, that is a way to consider increasing your income. What else makes sense is decreasing your expenses. That means simplify, share, substitute, or even conserve energy whenever possible. Reduce or eliminate spending your money on those things that you want versus the things that you need. Barter or trade services, even time. Find a cheaper way to do the things that you do, especially if those things that you do are a necessity. Save the earth and your money through energy conservation. The different new light bulbs that conserve energy. I personally don't have a lot of lights on. It's whatever space I'm in at the time. And then when I'm leaving that space, I turn those lights off and I go into the next space. So doing things like that, even using the sleep timer on the remote control on the television, that helps to cut down. So keeping the thermostat when you're running your air conditioner no lower than 78, and when you're running your heat no higher than 68. That always helps to keep your utility cost at a minimum. Can you change your fixed expenses? There may be a way, even if you have to discuss with the creditor what your financial situation is so that you don't become in arrears with those payments. And for those of you who are working, consider having your taxes prepared or amended for free. United Way Real Sense does this service. We won't say year round, but we do make ourselves available, especially in those situations where it may be an emergency in the downtime that we are trying to rebuild for our next tax season. But you can always call United Way 211 or visit us at www.unitedwaynefl.org/realsense. All right. Do you have a spending leak? How much does it cost you? The question comes up when you're asking, what are you spending money on when it relates to snacks, unused subscriptions, and memberships? At the start of the year, everybody makes those resolutions to lose that extra 10 pounds. So we run out and we get the gym membership. Maybe we go buy, maybe we go watch for 10 minutes, but rarely by the month of March or May are we actively using those memberships. Unused subscriptions. Now it's not paper magazines and newspapers, but it's Hulu and Netflix, and occasionally if we're home we may watch it until it begins to watch us because we've fallen asleep. Those are unused subscriptions. Is there anything that you can do to cut the cost of those expenses? So how should we spend when it relates to what we consider our needs? Food, housing, childcare, clothing, etc. They all have a listed recommended percentage of your income. Food, you should spend no more than 13 to 15% of your income on it. Housing, no more than 32 to 42%. Childcare, 15 to 25%. And as you're making those budgeting factors reality for your life, it will take out a lot of the stress of not being able to meet the needs because you're setting those needs according to the income that you have. So the percentages look something like this. Divide the amount you spend by the amount you actually take home. So in this example, rent is only $450. Divided by $1,200 because that's the income, and the percentage equals 37.5%. Okay, and if you want to answer the question, is this percent in the range for housing? The answer is yes, because the housing percentage is anywhere between 32 and 42%. How about using monthly calendars? I have one here that I'd like to just briefly show you. As an example, we actually get it from the University of Florida's IFAS Extension Office, and they're like 80 cents a copy. I'm just going to open it up. Don't know what month it's on. Okay, this one is from March 2020. But in it, in the calendar piece itself, you're going to put your the dates that your bills are due and how much they are, as well as the dates that your income is and how much they are. And, normally at the top, you have the photos of the beautiful kittens and puppies, but sometimes this can be the ugly truth about your flexible and occasional expenses. So if you're going to publish this anywhere, hang it where it can be seen. Make sure you do it in your bedroom or in the privacy of even your closet where visitors can't see it, but you are reminded that there's some work to be done. So you place the bills in the calendar for safekeeping, and then depending on the method of payment, plan to pay your bill at least 2 to 3 days in advance. Give yourself more time if your bill is due on the weekend or on Monday, and that usually relates to if you're still one who writes checks or uses money orders and mails the bills in. If you're using online, at least pay the bill 24 to 48 hours before it's due online so that you allow yourself the opportunity to make sure that when it's downloaded from your bank and uploaded to their accounting system, that you're not considered late. You don't want to have a history of slow or late pays on your credit report. You want to make sure you're matching up your bills to the timing of your income with the timing of your expenses. And some lenders or some creditors and debtors will allow you to adjust your bill pay because they understand that not everyone maintains the job for 5, 10, or 20 years. And so there may be over the course of time that you owe this debt and you're paying it back, that you may change jobs, and where your payday on this job was once a week, on the new job, now you're paid bi-weekly, and it's a different day altogether than any of the dates that you were being paid. So they will allow you to make those types of adjustments, but you do have to communicate with your creditors. Do you have a cash flow problem? Again, ask to change the due dates and save money from a previous paycheck. If you're paid every 2 weeks, there are 2 paydays out of the month that are extra. Don't see that as an opportunity to buy that new, designer bag or those expensive shoes, but find a way to apply that to your next payment, paying it on time or even early. You're now tapping into bringing down the principal, which also pays down on the interest, changes the interest rate. So, how do you know that all of this works? You simply have to review and revise. Make sure that when you're reviewing, you keep what worked well and use it to create or revise or build your budget out for the next month, the next quarter, or even the next year. And then if you find that there are some things that you tried that didn't work, don't panic. Just work with that and change it where you need to. But remember, don't be too hard on yourself if it doesn't work, especially the first time out that you're trying it. Celebrate all the small wins. Celebrate the fact that for the month of January, February, and March, despite the COVID pandemic, you were able to pay your rent, utilities on time, your car note wasn't late, you didn't have to pay extra interest on that payment, nor did you get a notice of cancellation for your car insurance. Celebrate those wins. And then because the COVID was something out of all of our control, if April, May, and June, you found yourself, in a hard place related to your finances, look at what you did. Did you continue using the monies the way that you normally would have in spite of the fact that there was, the economic downturn? If so, in retrospect, how could you have done that differently? And moving forward, will you apply those changes? All right. So in your review, you want to add up the amounts in your flexible expense columns as well as the fixed ones, and then add those two numbers together. Subtract that, the total expenses from your income. Did you stay within your budget? Did you happen to go over or even spend less than you had planned to? If so, why? And are any adjustments needed there? Also in the review and revise, especially because money affects the entire household, set a monthly money date. That means you all come together as a family and you discuss the bills. If the children are looking forward to getting the new iPhone 12 because, the iPhone 11 is now out of date and out of style or whatever, but you're still holding on to your flip phone, I think you need to have that meeting around the table to discuss the priorities of the money. Did you save the amount that you need for occasional expenses? What about an emergency fund? And what are the goals for the family, for your finances for the upcoming year? Did your situation change? Is everyone still committed to making this plan work? Was the plan realistic? Did you undersell what you all could do with relation to paying the bills on time or even saving? Or did you like shoot for the moon and hope you'll just fall among the stars? As it relates to budget, that is not a good plan. So if that is your position, may I encourage you to change that outlook. Are you building wealth as a family, or are we as a family decreasing debt? Those are some serious conversations, some hard questions to ask. And it's okay. Don't be afraid to ask and to answer those tough questions, because your future, your financial goals, and stability actually depend on it. We offer an assistance through our partner agency, Family Foundations. They offer financial counselor and or a money coach. That's someone who will sit across the table from you, and they will ask you those same hard questions I'm encouraging you to ask yourself, but they will also hold you accountable for your decisions. Mind you, they won't hold your hand and tell you, don't do that. They won't smack you with a ruler and say you made a bad decision. They will just simply hold you accountable, because ultimately you are the contributor to your financial success. They're there to help you and guide you along to get there quicker and safely. Okay. And so, again, that's the Family Foundations. They are here in Jacksonville, Florida. You can reach them by dialing 904-396-4846 or visiting their website, www.familyfoundations.org. It really takes time to make behavior changes. So be encouraged and stick with it. Don't be upset when you miss the mark. Get up and start again. So at the end of the year, we'd like to ask you to enter the total amounts of your fixed and flexible categories in your calendar. And it can be any calendar. This one is designed specifically for money management. So you could, again, get a copy of that from the bookstore at the University of Florida, their IFAS Extension bookstore, or you can just take a regular calendar and apply these steps to managing your money. All right, so at the end of the year, you want to enter the total monthly amounts for fixed and flexible categories in your calendar. Were you over or under what you budgeted? Calculate your average monthly amounts for the year and use that for next year's plan or budget. Enter any tax deductible expenses. Here it says on the back cover, because they're here talking about the calendar that I mentioned from the University of Florida's IFAS Extension Office. And you can use any calendar, but because this one was tailored for a money management course, you could also contact them to receive a calendar of your own, usually about 80% in cost. And it says to contact them for a new calendar. You can also purchase financial calendar software, or you can try Mint. That's www.mint.com, or any other mobile app that helps you to view and manage your financial budget or spending and saving plan. So it's my hope that after having gone through this video presentation, that you learn the importance of managing money, the steps to build a spending and saving plan, a few techniques and tools, what it means to use a calendar to track the expenses, identifying and perhaps eliminating your spending gaps, leaks, and those habits that continue to drain your money when you need to use it for the essentials of your life. There are some additional workshops that we offer. One is called Managing Debt. Another is Building and Rebuilding Good Credit. And we'd be happy to make those presentations available to you. So at the end of every workshop, we offer a chance for you to give your input. And so we would love it if you would take some time and provide your responses to these few questions. How would you rate the instructor? That's me making this presentation. 5 being excellent, all the way down to 1 being poor. Would you recommend this type of training to others? Do you plan to apply what was discussed here to what your current personal financial life is? And was the training engaging or at least interesting? Or yes, both, right? Um, just a few more questions. What was the most useful part of this training for you? No one can answer that for you but you, and we'd love to get your response to it. And we're not afraid to ask you what was the least useful part. Please share that information with us. And as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, there are a few other topics that we offer. So, is there another financial topic that you would like to have us present to you on behalf of your financial stability? Again, it's been my pleasure to present this topic to you. My name is Aretha Franklin. I am, again, the Program and Services Coordinator for United Way of Northeast Florida's Real Sense. I can be reached by email at aretha at uwnefl.org, or you can reach me by phone at 904-348-7577. I'm grateful for this partnership with the Duval County Schools Parent Academy. And it's my hope that something was said here today that will help you addressing managing money in tough times. Take care.